We have been talking for years about Kratos going to Egypt, but nobody is asking the real question: why? Kratos is no longer the old ghost of Sparta who travels across worlds just to find and kill new gods. At the end of Ragnarok, he chose not to fight, but to rebuild. So, I'll be honest, if they throw Kratos back into war because of a simple invasion, that would feel a little forced to me. The reason that takes him to Egypt needs to be much stronger and much more personal. Maybe that reason will not be a war, but a secret he cannot refuse. Today, we are going to look at 3 possible stories that could change the future of God of War. Let's get started. In the first scenario, Kratos does not go to Egypt by his own choice. On the contrary, Egypt comes to his doorstep. At first glance, this idea actually makes a lot of sense to me. Because Kratos, who killed almost all of the Greek gods, and later played a major role in Odin's downfall, is not someone the other pantheons can simply ignore. We know that he has changed and now only wants to protect his family. But if I put myself in the place of the Egyptian gods, I cannot expect them to trust Kratos either. They only see the results: a destroyed Olympus, dead gods, and an Asgard that lost its ruler. From the outside, wherever Kratos goes, first the gods become his enemies, and then the entire order collapses. Ra and the other Egyptian gods may believe that one day, their turn will come. I would especially want Thoth to be used here. Thoth investigates what happened in different worlds and uncovers Kratos' entire past. There may even be prophecies showing that an ash-covered warrior will come to Egypt and destroy the order of the sun gods. I think the beautiful part is this: we also would not know whether this is a real future or a prophecy the gods will fulfill with their own hands because of their fear. Ra, however, does not want to take that risk. Instead of waiting for Kratos to come to Egypt, he decides to eliminate him right away. If it were up to me, I would not start the first attack with a massive army. A single Egyptian creature we have never seen before would appear near Kratos' home. Then Anubis' dead warriors would cross into Midgard. At night, soldiers would rise from graves, and a threat written in Egyptian would be found on Kratos' axe. A mystery that grows slowly like this would be much more impressive to me. Mimir realizes that these signs belong to the realm of the dead. Kratos does not want to fight and tries to stop the attackers without killing them. But every attack comes bigger than the last. The Egyptian gods leave him no other choice. My favorite part of this theory is that the real conflict is not about who is stronger, but how much Kratos can control himself. If he does not kill the warriors sent after him, he will put Atreus, Mimir, and the people he promised to protect in danger. If he kills them, he will prove everything Ra believes about him. So with every battle Kratos wins, he gets physically closer to victory, but he actually loses a much bigger war. And that is exactly what the Egyptian gods want. They are trying to prove that he has never changed by forcing him to surrender to his rage again. Kratos eventually realizes that he cannot stop the attacks in Midgard, so he goes to Egypt to take the war away from his family. I am not going to lie. Seeing the deserts, the lost cities beneath the pyramids, and the temples rising along the Nile would make me incredibly excited. Imagine Kratos fighting Anubis' armies of the dead, Sobek's river creatures, and Ra's warriors. Visually, it would be amazing. But I have this feeling inside. Haven't we seen this story before? A group of gods fear Kratos. They attack him, and Kratos destroys their order. Egypt would look different, but Kratos would be living the same story again. I do not want the new game to repeat the same cycle for the 3rd time. The second scenario begins with Atreus' journey after Ragnarok. Honestly, I like this idea more than the first one, because it directly continues the story Ragnarok left behind. While Atreus is searching for the living giants, he could discover an ancient stone with both giant markings and Egyptian symbols on it. This stone may show that some giants went to Egypt centuries ago. Atreus thinks this is the biggest clue he has found to reach his people and sets off toward Egypt. At first, he sends messages to Kratos, but the messages slowly become stranger, and one day, they stop completely. The last thing that reaches Kratos could be a half-burned giant inscription. Atreus' blood and the symbol of Anubis are on it. If it were up to me, I would intentionally mislead the audience and the player here. We would all think Atreus has been kidnapped. Mimir explains that the Egyptian gods have great power over souls, and Kratos immediately follows his son's trail. But when we find Atreus, the direction of the story changes. Because Atreus has not been kidnapped. He came here by his own choice, and he does not want to return before finishing what he started. I think this twist immediately makes an ordinary rescue story much more interesting. Atreus may be investigating an ancient connection hidden between the giants and the Egyptian gods. Personally, I would love it if it was revealed that the giants were not limited only to the 9 realms. Maybe they reached Egypt and other mythologies we have not seen yet. Some of the pyramids may not even be tombs, but giant seals that close gateways between worlds. When Atreus opens one of these seals, he reignites an old war between Horus and Set. Some of the Egyptian gods see him as a savior, while others see him as an outsider who will destroy the entire order. That way, Atreus places himself at the center of a major mythological conflict for the first time without standing in his father's shadow. I think the strongest part of this theory is the conflict it would create between Kratos and Atreus. Kratos wants to pull his son out of the war, but Atreus refuses. Because the giants he found here need help. Kratos suffered his whole life because he could not protect his family. Now that he sees his son in danger, he wants to take control. But Atreus is no longer the little boy walking behind him. He has his own purpose and his own decisions. The more Kratos tries to protect him, the more Atreus may feel pressured. They love each other, but for the first time, they completely disagree about the direction they need to go. I imagine the peak of this conflict like this. Atreus wants to enter Duat alone to save the giants. Kratos thinks this is almost certain death and blocks his son's path. Atreus tells his father that he does not trust him. Think about it for a moment. Kratos can fight gods, defeat massive creatures, and even return from death. But can he accept that his son no longer needs him? Is Kratos really protecting Atreus? Or is he taking away his freedom because he is afraid of losing him? To me, the real strength of the story would be exactly in that question. But let me be clear, the second scenario has a big problem too. Atreus going missing feels a little too easy as a reason to push Kratos into action. Ragnarok already focused heavily on Kratos' fear of losing his son and Atreus choosing his own path. If the same conflict is used again, it may feel like the characters are returning to their old problems instead of moving forward. I do not want a massive mythology like Egypt to turn into just a long Atreus rescue mission. This possibility is more emotional than the first one, yes. But is it strong enough to redefine Kratos' entire past? I do not think so. For that, we need a much more personal reason. And now we come to the third scenario, the one that truly excites me. If I could choose the story, this is exactly how I would start Kratos' Egypt adventure. Everything could be set up through an event in the upcoming God of War, Faye. We know that Faye will struggle in a mysterious place called Everywhen, where gods go after death. But what if Everywhen was not created only to show Faye's past? What if it is a massive crossroads connecting the afterlife realms of different mythologies? Here, Faye could see the remains of the Greek underworld, the Norse dead, and a gateway opening into Egypt's Duat. I think this connection would turn Laufey from a side story into the beginning of Kratos' new saga. I would set up this connection like this. When Faye crosses into Duat, she is stopped by Anubis and brought before Osiris. The Egyptian gods immediately understand that she is not an ordinary dead soul. She is a giant, powerful enough to fight Thor, and she comes from a people who can see fate. But what truly interests Osiris is not Faye's power, but her bond with Kratos. Because the gods Kratos killed did not only damage the world of the living, the death of Hades shattered the order of Greek souls, and Odin's downfall disrupted another balance. To me, the idea that Kratos unknowingly wounded the order of death would be a perfect reason for the Egyptian gods to enter the story. I admit, the thing that really connects me to this theory is the offer Osiris would make to Faye. He can bring her back to life. Faye can reunite with Kratos and Atreus. But in return, Kratos must willingly come to Egypt and accept being judged in the court of the gods. According to Osiris, the person who broke the balance of death must also pay the price to repair it. At first, Faye refuses this. She does not want Kratos to be used by the gods again. But when she learns that Set is preparing to use the broken order to cross into the world of the living, she has no other choice. If Kratos does not come, not only Faye, but Atreus and the other realms will also be in danger. I would especially want to see this scene. Faye sends Kratos a sign through giant magic. One night, Kratos hears that voice he has not heard in years. Faye only says to him, "If you want to find me, follow the sun." Kratos knows this could be a trap. Even Mimir tells him that he should not trust the voices of the dead. But Kratos knows that voice better than anyone. Just think about it. The person you mourned for years, and whose ashes you released from the top of the mountain, tells you that she can return. Would you not go to the ends of the earth to save her? To me, there can be no stronger reason for Kratos to go to Egypt than this. When Kratos reaches Egypt, he does not find Faye immediately. If it were up to me, I would have him handed directly to Anubis and brought before the court of Osiris. Thoth would read Kratos' crimes one by one. The innocents he killed while serving Ares, the death of his own family, his revenge against Zeus, the fall of Olympus, Balder and Heimdall. Then Anubis would weigh Kratos' heart against the feather of Maat. Stop and think for a moment. All the destruction Kratos caused, the gods he killed, and the people he failed to save are being weighed against a single feather. I truly think this scene could be one of the most powerful moments in God of War history. When Faye comes to the court, she should not say that Kratos is innocent. I think doing that would erase the weight of all the previous games. Instead, she should argue that Kratos is capable of change. Atreus could also reach Egypt as living proof that his father is no longer the man he used to be. But just as the decision is about to be made, Set sabotages the court and puts Faye and Atreus in danger. Set's goal is not to kill Kratos, but to turn him back into his old self in front of everyone. If Kratos loses control and brutally kills Set, the court will believe he has never changed. That is exactly why I love this idea. Kratos' final battle would not be defeating a god, but choosing not to kill him. Kratos defeats Set, but he does not deliver the final blow. He lowers his weapon and refuses to let rage decide the fate of a god. That is the moment the scale could balance. Not because Kratos' heart is pure, but because he proves that he is no longer a slave to his past without denying it. I would not want Faye to return completely and without any price. That would cheapen the emotion of the 2018 story. Maybe Faye can only live for a short time, or maybe she cannot leave Egypt. Kratos and Atreus see her one last time, and this time, they truly say goodbye. The first theory turns Kratos back into the hunted warrior, and the second turns him into the father searching for his son, but the third judges his entire life. This would absolutely be the God of War story I would want to see. So which of these three stories would you choose? Should the Egyptian gods hunt Kratos because they see him as a future threat? Should Kratos go to Egypt to find Atreus? Or should he face every sin from his past in order to bring Faye back to life? Also, if Kratos' heart were weighed against the feather of Ma'at, do you think the scale would balance, or would the destruction in his past be too heavy? Definitely write your own theory and the Egyptian god you want to see in the game in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel so you do not miss new God of War theories. See you in the next video. Take care.